What is up, you guys? My name is Brianna, and today we are going to be doing one of my most requested videos, and that is going over my entire eyeshadow palette collection, which I'm actually really excited for. I love eyeshadow palettes. They are my favorite makeup product, and I have a lot of them, and I know a lot of you guys are really curious to see my collection too. And I know this video is going to be long, so do get yourself a snack or like a munchie or something, because we're going to be going over almost 150 palettes today. However, before we jump into this video and talk about all the goodies, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a like. And also, if you'd like to check me out on Instagram, my Instagram account is @lethal_kitten. So with this video, I am going to group the palettes by brand just to make it a little bit easier to follow. And also do keep in mind, I am going to be talking about discontinued products today because I want to show you guys my full collection and not keep anything out of it. So the first brand that we are going to be talking about is Milk Cosmetics, and I have a lot of their palettes. This one is the GEMINI palette, one of my all-time favorites, super beautiful with the greens and just an overall gorgeous grungy palette. And the next one that I have is the 420 palette, and I just recently did a video on this, and if you'd like to see it, I'll have it linked in the description box down below for you. Like, truly, like, I just love the colors in here. And the next palette is the Radioactive palette. I haven't used this one in a hot minute. I feel like this one's going to be really fun for summer. And then here's a Millennial Pinks palette, kind of like a blush pink palette with like a little bit of gray in it. It's a really cool color story. So here's the Smoke Sessions palette, which is beautiful, especially if you love shimmers. You will love this one because 6 out of 8 eyeshadows are shimmer and they just have a really gorgeous depth to them. And I also have the Amor Eternal collection, so I have both the Muerte palette as well as the Vita palette, and I think this packaging is just so cool. And here's the Muerte palette, which to me is just such a unique color story. I need to start using this one more because I think it's just such a gorgeous palette and I love the formula of it. And then here is the Vita palette, and I recently reviewed this one, and this one just has like a summer vibe to it. Like, when I think of summer, I think of these colors. Like, they're just really bright and fun and kind of on the tropical side. And the last palette that I have from Melt is the brand new Rust palette, which is beautiful, especially if you love neutrals. Like, if you're looking for a really good neutral palette, I definitely recommend checking this one out, especially if you like dark smoky eyes. So the next brand that we are going to be talking about is NYX Cosmetics, and again, I only have 2 palettes from them, one of which is the brand new Escape Artist palette, which has amazing pigmentation to it. I love this palette so much. And I also have this Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 3 Spellbook. I don't really like this palette all that much. Like, it's okay, but it's just not kind of my taste right now. I do like the blushes in here though. I'm just not as crazy about the eyeshadows. But here's the color story of it. So the next brand that we're going to be going over is BH Cosmetics, and we're first going to be talking about the Take Me Back to Brazil palette, which I think is a cult classic. I really like this palette, and if you're looking to get into color and you don't know where to start and you also don't want to invest a lot of money in it, you definitely need to check out this palette. Because, I mean, like, yeah, the eyeshadows are really small, but it has amazing quality and really nice pigmentation to it. I also have the ZODIAC palette from them, and I haven't used this one before. I mean, she's pretty, and I do like that it's very cool tone. I don't know why I just haven't used it yet. I also have the ZODIAC Love Signs palette. This palette I've actually used, and I think it's a beautiful one. I actually really like the quality of the eyeshadows and overall the pigmentation, but I will say this palette alone is worth getting just for this highlight inside. Like, it's just so blinding and just so extra looking. I also have the Take Me to Ibiza palette, which this one's really cool too. I have used it a couple of times, and I love how bright it is, yet you get a lot of smokiness. I think it's a really interesting color story. I also have the Daisy Marquez collaboration, and I'm just gonna keep it real. I hate the packaging of this palette, and oh shit, it already broke. Look at this. Like, why did it do that? I love BH, but like, what? I've only used this palette a couple of times. Like, the glue like came off the mirror. That is not cool. But here is the inside of it, and even though the mirror just did that, trust me, like, the eyeshadows in here are beautiful, super pigmented, and they just are really nice to work with. And I love that this palette has like a good variety of color. You can do a lot of like rainbow smoky eyes, you can do a lot of cool tone looks as well. It's just overall a really nice palette. I'll show you guys like what the packaging does. Like, it's really cool. I will give it that. It's really unique. But for me, it's just really impractical, and it makes this palette really bulky. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, she is thick. I also have the Opalescent palette, and don't get me wrong, like, I love the quality of this palette, but the color story is just so boring in my opinion. Like, there's just nothing really unique about it, and I wish that it had a little bit more deeper tones to it too, because I feel like every time I have used this one, all my looks look relatively very similar. And again, the quality isn't bad. It's just kind of a boring, kind of bland color story. And also, I have this Illusion palette. I haven't used this one before. It's a 16 color eye palette. And this one's really cool, and I feel like it would be amazing for travel. And it's also super bright. Like, it kind of reminds me of like a rainbow, but kind of like smoky at the same time. So the next brand that we are going to be talking about is Jeffree Star Cosmetics, and right here is the Blood Sugar palette. I recently did a video ranking all of his palettes from my least favorite to my most favorite, and if you'd like to see it, I'll have it linked in the description box down below for you. But I love this palette. It is beautiful. I love that it's very red, and also you can do a lot of really nice cool tone neutral looks with it too. I'm just gonna keep it real. I have never done a video like this before, so I don't know if I'm doing it right or like what's supposed to happen. I'm just kind of like winging it. But the next one that I have is the Mini Breaker palette, and I don't like this palette, like at all. I like the vibe of it, but I just never use it. But it is really purple and super glittery. I also have the Conspiracy palette, and don't get me wrong, like this palette is cool, but like the packaging is just way too bulky in my opinion. I wish it was like about half of this, because it would just make it so much easier to store. But here is the color story of it. It's very bright, but also super neutral at the same time. Keeping with the Shane Dawson theme, I have the Mini Controversy palette, and this is one of the ones I don't really use all that much. I've been recently using these kind of like pastel shades a little bit more. I think they're really cool and really fun for spring. But the other ones in here, they're kind of boring to me, and honestly, like when I use this palette, I feel like I can only get a certain amount of looks with it, so that's why I don't really use it all that much. I also have the Alien palette, which I believe is now discontinued, which is a bummer because I do prefer this one over the Conspiracy palette. I find that the pigmentation is a lot better with this one, but I will say I hate the packaging. It feels like it's gonna rip, and it just feels really bad quality, but I will say the shadows in here have a really good formula to them. I also have the Blue Blood palette, and I need to start using this one more. I think it's really cool and just really fun. I really want to start using more blue eyeshadow because it's one of the colors I haven't been using recently, and I feel like this palette is going to be perfect to kind of get me back into it. And the last palette that I have from Jeffree Star Cosmetics is one of my all-time favorite palettes in my collection, and that is the Jawbreaker palette. Seriously, I love this one so much. It is definitely a top 3 for me. And let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see my top 10 favorite eyeshadow palettes right now, because it's been a hot minute since I filmed a video like that. There's a lot of pastels in here, which also are really rainbow-y. There's a lot of like grungy colors, there's a lot of primary colors, and overall it's just a really fun palette. If you want to get a really unique one from Jeffree Star Cosmetics, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. I only have one palette from Fenty, and this is the Moroccan Spice palette, and I love the packaging of it. It is so cool, and it is definitely display worthy. But talking about the formula, it is horrible. Like the mattes in here, they do not blend, they do not even build up with the color, and they're just really hard to work with. And the shimmers in here, they're either really good or really bad. There is no in between. Like some of them are just like gorgeous and they're super sparkly, and other ones, they are like lackluster and they have no pigmentation and they just look like a hot mess on the eyes. I should probably declutter this palette, but I have a hard time decluttering, and you know what gets me is the packaging. Like I look at it and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty, I can't get rid of it, but at the same time, I'll never use it again. So the next brand that we are going to be talking about is Kaleidos, and I don't believe I have used them here on my YouTube channel. I have used this, it's called the Astro Pink palette over on my Instagram page. And oh, I should show you guys, the packaging is super, super cool. Like it has just like the coolest look to it. I've never seen anything like it before, and even when you open it, it just has like a really unique vibe to it. And then here's the inside of it, and with this palette, there's some shades that are really good and others that aren't as good in my opinion. Like it's kind of hit and miss depending, but I love this shade called Nebula. Oh, it's a beautiful duochrome. It's kind of like blue, purple, and pink at the same time. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, oh, it's gorgeous. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see a video going over Kaleidos makeup. I'd be happy to film it if you guys would like to see it. But the next palette that we're going to be talking about from them is the Electro Turquoise. And the packaging of this one is a little bit different. It's like super slippery. It doesn't like scream eyeshadow palette to me. Like it has like its own feel. It almost reminds me of like a clothing item or like a purse in a way. But the colors in here are so beautiful. Like they're really bright blues. And then you get like this little pop of orange in here, which makes it a little bit more on the unique side. And the last palette that I have from Kaleidos is the VR Neon. And the outside does not scream neon, but the inside reminds me of, I believe it is called the Radioactive Stack from Milk Cosmetics. Like it just has a certain kind of look to it. But it really just intrigues me at the same time. Now I only have one palette from Buxom, and this is the Boss Babe Betty palette. I really want to try their new one because I love this one so much. It really reminds me of Soft Glam from ABH if you're familiar with that. But It's a really nice neutral palette, and I don't understand why more people don't talk about it, because the mattes in here are super crazy pigmented and very easy to work with and blend out, even the darker ones in here, like these two right here. And the shimmers in here are super sparkly on the eyes too. It actually has a really awesome formula to it. So the next brand that we are going to be talking about is Morphe, and I have a ton of palettes from them. This is the 15T Your True Selfie palette. I don't like this one. I find it really just lackluster, but I do like the green in here. Just the other shadows in here are really hard to work with. I also have the 25L Live-In Color palette, and I'm not too sure if this one's discontinued or not. I really love this one. I haven't used it because I thought it was discontinued and then they brought it back, but I'm not too sure if they still have it or not. But oh, like, this one's beautiful. Like, if you can get your hands on it, you will love this one. Like, it's just like a rainbow kind of like glam. There's a lot of fun brights in here, and overall it's just such a fun palette to use. So this one is the Blueya Away palette, and I love the color story of this one, but the formula just is not it for me. The shadows in here are just really hard to work with and blend out, but I will say I do love this matte like periwinkle shade. That one is gorgeous on the eyes. The other ones I just don't really like all that much. So I recently got the Truth or Bare palette. I haven't used it yet, but to me it definitely screams like everyday wear, you know, maybe like a soft glam moment kind of vibe. I also have the Jeffree Star collaboration, and the colors in here are really unique. I've never seen a color story like this before, but the formula just is not my style. I find that the shadows in here are really hard to work with and blend out, and the shimmers in here are kind of lackluster in my opinion. I also have the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette, and man do I love this one. It's very bright, and also you can do a lot of smoky eyes with it, and overall every time that I have used it I have so much fun with it. So the next one that we're going to be talking about is the 35i Icy Fantasy palette, and I didn't even know that this one got discontinued. I was looking on Ulta and Morphe's website the other day and I couldn't find it because I was trying to link it to somebody, and it's like this one fell off the face of the earth and I don't understand why. It's a really nice palette. Like, if you're into pastels and you're into like those really light and airy looks, this one is amazing for it. And the next one is the Dare to Create palette, and man do I love the formula of it. It is so good and just really easy to work with. The only thing I hate about it is the middle row in here is just so similar, and a lot of the neutrals in general are. I wish that they would have included different colors in this one. And the other holiday palette that I have from Morphe is the 39L Hit the Lights palette. I know right now it's 50% off on Morphe's website. I think it's like 20 bucks, so this one is literally a steal if you can get it. And what I like about this one is that you can just do so much with it. Like, you get all of these fun brights in the corner here that have like a little bit of a neon pop to them. You get some really nice everyday neutrals, and also it has a lot of really fun glittery shades in here. I recently reviewed the 24A Artist Pass palette, and oh my gosh, like, if you're into neons and you love glitter and you just love all things sparkle, you definitely need to check this one out. I will say it is very similar to the 39L, but again, it has all these really fun glitters to it. I also have the James Charles palette, and man, this one is beautiful. Like, if you're into rainbows and you love warm tone neutrals, this one is so much fun. I will say, if you are having a problem with this one, the eye primer that you use makes the world of difference. I definitely recommend using the ABH eye primer with this. And I also have the Morphe Hotspot palette. I haven't used this one in a hot minute, but I do like the color story of it. One of the more unique palettes that I own from Morphe is the 35M Boss Mood palette. If you're into grungy greens or into fall smoky eyes, you definitely need to check this one out. And the last palette that I have from Morphe today is the 39S Sacha Gem palette. Literally one of my all-time favorites in my collection, hands down. And if you're into pinks and purples and you also love a lot of glitter, you definitely need to check this one out. Now, I only have one palette from Dose of Colors. This is the Sassy Siennas palette. It's kind of like a corally, kind of like warm tone palette. It's really beautiful and I love the formula of it. And I only have one palette from Huda Beauty. This is the Emerald Obsessions palette. I got it when it launched and I just haven't really been using it. I think I've only used it once, but I love the color story of it. So the next brand that we are going to be talking about is Alter Ego, and I don't have a lot of palettes from them. This first one is the Sahara palette, and I don't remember which Natasha Denona one that this one's supposed to dupe. I believe it's Biba, but again, it's just like a neutral palette, but I do love these smoky grays down here. They're really gorgeous on the eyes. I also have the Aurora palette. I haven't used this one before, but I think it's supposed to dupe the Sunset palette of Natasha Denona's, but I'm not 100% sure. I really should use it though, because I love that it's a really bright sunset palette. And the last palette that I have from them is the Goddess palette. It is beautiful. I love the shimmers in here. They are stunning on the eyes. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but they have like a really cool like dual chrome effect to them. So the next brand that we are going to be talking about is Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I have a ton of palettes from them. And first of which we are going to be going over the Norvina collection, and this is the Pro Pigment Palette Volume 1, and I love this palette. It is one of my all-time favorites in my collection. It is super pigmented and just such a fun palette to play with. And here's the Pro Pigment Palette Volume 2, which again, I like this palette a lot. It's really cool tone and it has a lot of neons in it. And the last one that I have out of the bigger palettes is the Pro Pigment Palette Volume 3, and this one is very warm tone and kind of like a 70s vibe. I also have all three of the mini palettes, which are stunning. This one is the Mini Volume 1, and this one's super pink and really purple. I haven't used it before, but I definitely want to because I love the color story of it. And then here is the Mini Volume 2 palette, which really reminds me of the Volume 3 palette. It has like that 70s kind of vibe to it, and this is actually the palette that I'm wearing today. And the last one that I have is the Mini Volume 3, which is the Cherry palette, and it is so cute and definitely gives me like a 50s vibe with the packaging. But the reds in here, oh my gosh, they are amazing. By far one of my all-time favorite red eyeshadow formulas. So now let's talk about the normal Anastasia line, and the first one we're going to be talking about is a cult classic, which is the Modern Renaissance palette. I haven't used this one all that much, but I do really love the pinks in here. I think they're beautiful. I also have the original Norvina palette. I haven't used this one before, but I really should because this one to me looks like a perfect spring palette. I love that you get a lot of shimmer in this one as well. I also have the Carly Bible palette, and I feel like this one is just so underrated. I love the top row of it. Like if you're into cool tones and you love purples, this one is absolutely stunning on the eyes. I also have the Jackie Aina palette, and I haven't used this one in a hot minute on my channel, but I love the colors in here, and I feel like this palette is just so crazy pigmented, and also one of those ones I feel like is super underrated. So the next one that we're going to be talking about is the Riviera palette. I haven't really used this one all that much. I think I've only used it maybe like 2 times or so, and I mean there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't really gravitate towards these colors all that much, but I will say this Sail shade is like one of the most pigmented white shadows I have ever used in my life. And another one of the palettes I haven't used before is the Prism palette, and this one's really cool. I don't know why I haven't used it. I believe it is discontinued though, so maybe that is why I haven't, but I do actually really like the colors in here, especially this lime yellowy green shade. I think that one looks super sick. And we cannot forget about the Alyssa Edwards palette, which is so cool and just so bright. I remember when they launched this one, I was like, man, ABH is doing colorful eyeshadows? Like, what happened? I seriously just love how pinky purpley this palette is. You get a lot of bright colors, and you can just create a number of looks with this one. And another cult classic from ABH is the Soft Glam palette. This is by far one of my favorite neutral palettes in my collection, hands down. And what I like about it is that you can do a lot of everyday looks with it, but you can also do these really dark, grungy, smoky eyes. So this next one is actually on my list to use, and that is the Subculture palette. I haven't used it yet. I have only used one shadow, and that was this one right here called Destiny. I did a Scrunchies Pick My Makeup look, and this was the only one I could find for a sage green in my collection, but it is so beautiful and definitely a 70s vibe. I seriously cannot wait to use it. I also have the Resi palette, and man do I love this one. I recently used it on my channel as well, and this palette literally screams Barbie to me. Like when I think of a Barbie palette, this is definitely it. It's super pink, it's super sparkly, and there's just a lot of glam to it, and the formula of the shimmers in here are to die for, especially the pressed glitters. Now this next palette is one of the oldest ones in my collection, and that is the Catwalk palette. I haven't used this one in probably 5 years, and I keep it because of the memories attached, and also it was one of my first ever high-end palettes, and I just think it's a really cute little palette. It doesn't take a lot of room, and I just keep it because every time I look at it, I'm like, that is where I started. Now I am going to show you guys some single eyeshadow palettes I do have from ABH. This one's a little bit more on the neutrally side. I don't know all the color names in here. I've never popped them out. I've just used them in these palettes. And then I also have this more like brighter one. But like when I say bright, it's not like the Norvina palettes. It's definitely a little bit more on the wearable side. And I also have this little tiny quad for them. Again, I don't know the eyeshadow names, so I can't tell you guys what's in here, but I do like the formula of them. Now I am going to share with you guys some one-offs, and this might annoy some people, but you know what? At the end of the day, I bought these to be eyeshadow palettes, and that is what I mostly use them for. And first of which is the Moonchild Glow Kit. I bought this one to only go on my eyelid as well as in my inner corner, and that is what I mostly use it for because I'm not really into colored highlight all that much. But man, like these as inner corner highlights are stunning. Like they're super sparkly, and they just have like a really cool look to them. Now I'm not too sure if this one's discontinued or not, but that is the Dream Glow Kit, and again I did buy this one for inner corner highlights, and I bought it especially for this like unicorn shade right here, this like pinky one. It's really unique and I've never seen anything like it before, and I also bought it for this sunshine shade. Now the next brand that we're going to be talking about is Too Faced. I don't have a lot of eyeshadow palettes from them, but I do have the original chocolate bar, which I used to love this one. It used to be one of my all-time favorites, ride or die, for like a hot minute. And I also have the Bonbons palette. And this one I bought because I got it on sale, I believe at like HSN or something like that. And I just never really used it all that much. But again, it is a really cute palette. And the last palette that I have from them is the Palm Springs Dreams palette. I got this one in a BoxyCharm, and I mean, she's cute. I hate how it smells, but these colors are just kind of the colors I don't really wear all that much, and some of them, the formula is just not my favorite. So now we're going to talk about Makeup Revolution. I only have the 3 palettes from them. I haven't really tried all that much from the brand. And this first one is the Forever Flawless in this style Constellation. I've used this one on my channel. It's really fun and just really vibrant, and it just kind of has like that galaxy kind of look to it. I also have another one of the Forever Flawless palettes, and this is the Unconditional Love one. And this one is very like pink and red, and it kind of gives like a Valentine's Day vibe. Now I bought this Soap X palette, but I haven't used it yet. I like the packaging of it. I think it's really pretty, and also the color story is gorgeous. It's a very neutral palette, but it also has like these really cool pops of color in it. I bought these 2 palettes from Makeup Geek before they rebranded, but I haven't used them yet. I don't even know why I bought them, to be honest. And this first one right here is called Champagne and Rose. I love the color story of it, but again, like they're neutral palettes, and I don't really use neutrals all that much, but I love this color right here. It is gorgeous in the pan. I also picked up the Peach Bellini palette, and this one is definitely like a warm tone neutral palette. And again, like, I don't know why I would buy another neutral palette because I mostly use color, but I mean, the color story of this is really pretty. With Wet n Wild, I only have 2 palettes, one of which is the Bretman Rock palette, and this one's really cool, and I feel like this is definitely like a summer palette. Like, it is really fun and really bright. I also have the Wet n Wild 40 palette, and I love this palette so much. It has an amazing formula to it, and it's also super affordable. Now, Juvia's Place is one of those brands I haven't used in a hot minute on my channel, but I have a lot of their eyeshadow palettes, and one of my favorites is the Magic palette. This one is beautiful and super cool toned. Like, seriously, if you love purples and like those silvery icy shades, this one is absolutely stunning, and they have one of my favorite shimmer formulas in my collection. I also have the Masquerade palette, the normal sized one, and when I first got this one, like, this is what hooked me on Juvia's Place because the shimmers in here are beautiful. And also this Giza shade is like the most beautiful highlighter on the face. I also have 2 of the newer mini palettes, and these ones are really fun. I do want to pick up the other ones that they have, and this one is the Violets palette. It is super purple, and it's a very cool tone moment. And then here is the Berries one, and this one has colors that are really hard to find, especially these like darker burgundy shades right here. Like, I don't have a lot of those types of colors in my collection, so I'm so happy that they did a palette including them. I also have the Zulu palette, which is a really fun rainbow palette. Like, if you're looking to get Juvia's Place eyeshadow palettes and you don't want the 2 bigger ones that I talked about, definitely get Zulu. Like, it is really fun and super bright and colorful. I also bought the Warrior palette. I haven't used this one. I did get it when they had a sale because I feel like they have amazing sales right now. And I like the colors in here. I just don't know why I haven't used it yet. Another palette that I got on sale and I haven't used yet is the Douce palette. And I got this one because a lot of you guys recommended it to me. And I don't know why I haven't used it because it's really cute and I feel like it would be perfect for spring because you get these really fun like pastel shimmers in here, and I love this chocolatey brown as well. I also have the Try palette, and man, do I love this one, especially the shimmer shade in here called Coral. Like, it is like the coolest, most unique highlighter shade. It's this one right here. And I also like that this one has like a 70s vibe to it, but at the same time, it's not like an overwhelming color story. Like, I feel like it's really unique and all of the colors go really well together. This next palette is another one that I got on sale, and that is the Festival palette, and I got it because of the red in here. Like, I thought they were really beautiful, and I'm always on the hunt for a really good red, and that's why I picked it up. And the last palette that I have from Juvia's Place is the Saharan 2 palette, and I haven't used this one in a hot minute, and that's because I've gotten more into color than neutrals, but still, like, the colors in here are beautiful. I love these 2 shimmer shades right here. They are gorgeous on the eyes. Now we're going to be talking about the brand that I have the most palettes of, and that is ColourPop. I think I have like 22, if not 25 of them. Like, there's a lot. And I recently did a ranking video of all of them, and I'll have it linked in the description box down below for you. And because I just recently did that video, I'm not going to go super in depth with these palettes. So the first one that I have is the Through My Eyes palette. This is the I Love Sarahi collaboration, and it's a very like grungy palette, and it just has like, these really cool colors to it. I also have the It's All Good palette, and if you're into neutrals, especially like lighter pinky blushy shades, but you want something a little bit different with your palette, you know, some brighter colors, this one is definitely it because you get those everyday colors, but you also get those beautiful pinky pops of color. And one of my favorite palettes from ColourPop is the So Jaded collaboration with Kathleen Lights here on YouTube. And this palette to me is like a grungy fantasy. It is beautiful and super underrated. Like if you like these types of colors, the formula of this one is immaculate, especially these darker matte shades. Like they literally blend out like butter, especially these deeper blues. I also have the new Sailor Moon Pretty Guardian palette. I really like this one. It's really fun and super pastel, and also I feel like this palette literally screams spring. I also have the original Yes Please palette, and I don't really use this one anymore, and I don't really like the formula of it, but again, the colors in here are really gorgeous. I also have the wet palette from the Bretman Rock collection. I haven't used it yet. My friend gave it to me, and I mean, the colors in here are pretty. I just haven't taken the time to use it. Now, the next palette we're going to be talking about, I believe is discontinued, and that is the Misunderstood palette, and man, do I like this one. It is super fun, it's dark, it's smoky, and you also get these really cool pops of color in it. I love this like yellowy green one right here. It is so beautiful in the eyes and also an amazing inner corner highlight. I also have the California Love palette, which to me is a really good dupe to the Soft Glam palette from ABH. Like if you love the colors of the Soft Glam palette but you don't like the price tag, I would definitely recommend checking this one out instead. One of the cult favorites that I own is the Sweet Talk palette, and if you're into corally pinks and you love everyday glam type of palettes, you will love this one. Like, it's just such a beautiful palette. There's some textures to play with, and overall, it's a really nice everyday wear kind of palette. I also have the brand new Mulan palette, and man do I love this one, especially for the cool tone neutral mattes in here. Like these three right here give you the nicest smoky eyes, and also this one right here is like the perfect shade if you want to do like a 1950s inspired look. And what's also really nice about this palette is there's a lot of shine and a lot of glitter in it. As you can see, I have a ton of the 9-pan palettes from ColourPop. You could definitely say I'm kind of obsessed. So I'm going to try to do these in rainbow order, but the first one we're going to be talking about is the Blue Moon palette, one of my all-time favorites. It is so beautiful, and if you love blues, you definitely need to check this one out. I also have the Elsa palette, which is really cute and really sparkly. I love the pressed glitter in it right here. And the next one being the Mint to Be palette. I love this one so much. It is really unique and one of my favorites from ColourPop. I mean, like, look at the colors of it. I also have the Just My Luck palette, which is the St. Patrick's Day palette, and this one's really beautiful too. And one of the more unique palettes in my collection is the Honey palette, which is the yellow palette from ColourPop. I can never say the name of this palette without doing the snappy finger thing. It just needs the extra sass. And the colors in here are really gorgeous, and if you love yellows and if you're looking for something a little bit different, this one will definitely give it to you. And the next one that I have in my collection is the Soul palette, and this one's kind of like an orangey palette with like a little hint of pink to it. It's a really beautiful color story. And another one of my favorites is the Orangey Glad palette, and this one is literally an orange dream. Like when I think of like an orange palette, it is definitely this one. So the red palette from ColourPop is the Main Squeeze palette, which is kind of like a watermelon-y color. It's a really cute design, and also the color story is gorgeous, especially if you love reds. And I also do have the Hot Pink palette, which is called the Ooh La La palette, and this one to me is very pinky purple. It's a really cute little color story. I also have the Strawberry Shake palette, which is one of my favorites from ColourPop. It is so cute and so adorable. Literally, this palette screams summer to me with all the pinky reds in here, as well as the shimmer shades. I can tell I've been doing this video for a hot minute because my voice is cracking so bad, but the next one we're going to be talking about is the Blush Crush palette, and this is a newer one from ColourPop, and this one to me is definitely a very, very bridal palette, and also more so on the blushy pink side. And another more neutral palette that I have in a 9-pan is the Making Mauves palette, and man do I love this one. I love mauves, and this one is definitely up my alley. Like, it's very bridal, but it's also super smoky at the same time. I also have the It's My Pleasure palette, and I don't like this one. I hate the formula of it. I think it's really hard to work with, but I will say I do love this Kitten Fish shade as well as this one right here. Now the last palette that I have from ColourPop is the Smoke Show palette. I know that they have changed the name on this one a couple of times, so I'm not too sure what it's called right now. And this is the black and gray one that they launched. It is such a unique palette. Now I don't have any Makeup Forever eyeshadow palettes, but I did create one when I went to Los Angeles for my birthday. I believe it was for my 21st, and this is the palette that I made. I thought it was so cool, and I thought it was really fun to pick out my shadows. And I know they have done a reformulation since then, and they have square pans now. But these are the shadows that I picked. I believe that this one is called Peacock, and then these ones are kind of like dusty, mauvey plum shades. From Sigma, I only have these two palettes right here, and this first one is called the Warm Neutrals Volume 2. I used to love this palette so much, but I haven't used it in a hot minute. And this one is very, very neutral, but you also get this really cool like red shade as well as a taupey kind of like grungy green. I can't believe I'm showing you guys this palette because it is so dirty because I used to use it all the time. And that is the Sigma Creme de Couture palette, and I love this palette for the longest time. This is actually the original one. It is not the remastered. I probably should have gotten the remastered because I like this one that much at the time. But this palette is a pastel dream. It is beautiful, and when I first initially got this one, it was so hard to find pastel shades, and these ones at the time were super pigmented and just so easy to work with. And I mean, nowadays it's really easy to find pastels, but back then it was so tricky, and when they launched this one, I had to have it right away. Now I only have one Profusion palette, and this is the Festival palette. I reviewed it last year, I believe, when it launched, and I know a lot of you guys do have this palette because you're always asking me to use it again, but oh, she is pretty. It's a definite, very vibrant, really colorful palette, and if you're looking to get into color and you don't know where to start and you don't want to invest a lot of money into it, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. One of my all-time favorite palettes in my collection is the Be Perfect x Stacey Marie Carnival XL Pro palette. Seriously, this palette is so good. She is a little pricey, but you do get a lot of colors in here. And I mean, like, look at how bright it is. There's some neons in here, and you also get 3 face highlighters. So the next brand that we are going to be talking about is Sugar Pill, which is one of my favorite brands. Like, they used to be my ride or die back in the day, and now they're creating palettes which are super cool. And this is the C1 Pink Capsule palette, I believe is what it's called. It's really pastel, and this definitely screams spring to me. And I also have the new C2 palette. I believe that this one's a little bit more on the neutral side, and this is an Ulta exclusive. Now, since I have loved Sugar Pill for so many years and I have collected a lot of their products, I have a ton of their eyeshadow palettes, but they are discontinued, and again, a lot of the shades in them are discontinued as well, which really sucks because the formula is amazing. But the first palette we're going to talk about is the Sparkle Baby palette, which it is so cute. It is super pastel, and I love these 3 right here. Not as much Kitten Parade, but the other 3 are stunning on the eyes. And the next one we're going to talk about is the Cold Chemistry palette, and this one used to be so edgy in my opinion. I remember seeing people use it on YouTube and I was like, wow, those looks are cool, and I had to pick it up. And I even used to really love this shimmery black in here, but my favorite was this purple. Now, I don't have the OG Sugar Pill packaging for their 4 pans, but I have really close to that. And this is the Sweetheart palette, and actually all 3 of the palettes I'm going to show you have the same packaging. It's just the shadows inside are different, and like, they're so cute. And as you can tell, I really love Taco. Like, that is one of my favorite matte whites I have ever tried, hands down. See what I mean about them all having the same packaging? And this one is the Heartbreaker palette. And when I first initially got it, I didn't think I was going to use it because at the time I hated cool tones, but it is beautiful. I really wish I could use these shades more, but there's so many discontinued. And my absolute favorite Sugar Pill palette back in the day was the Burning Heart palette. And I don't even know if you can get all of these shadows anymore. I think that they actually discontinued Poison Plum, but like this one I even traveled with. Like, I was obsessed. Like, literally, this palette was my gateway to being so obsessed with Sunset Smoky Eyes. Like, it is not even funny. Like, I used to do them practically every single day with this palette. So now we're going to be talking about a brand that you guys haven't heard me talk about in a hot minute, and that is Carity. And the first one we're going to talk about is the Frost palette. I don't really like this palette. I never really use it even because I'm just not into shimmer. Oh god, I almost hit myself in the face. But I'm not into all shimmer palettes. I mean, like, yeah, the colors in here are really beautiful and the shimmer is really nice. But again, like, what am I going to do with an all shimmer palette? You know what I mean? I also have the Picante palette, and this one is horrible in my opinion. Like, I do not like this palette. It is dusty, it's hard to work with, and the shadows in here are so lackluster, it is ridiculous. Like, I use these ones on the bottom row, and like, they barely had any pigment, which is unfortunate because the other ones I have from Carity are amazing and they're really easy to work with. So it really bums me out that this one doesn't have the same quality. So one of my favorite palettes from Carity is the 21 Matte, and I just realized I don't have the 21 Nudes and Rudes next to me. I must have left it at my parents' house. Like, oh, this one is so beautiful. It is a completely matte rainbow palette, and it's just so beautiful, and the pigmentation is insane. And the last palette that I have from Carity is the 21 Smoky palette, and I used to love this one. I used to rave about it all the time, and man, is she beautiful. I love this yellow in here, and as you can tell, I even hit pan on this shade, and overall it is such a beautiful palette. These two though are my favorites in this palette. This I think it's kind of like a burgundy shade is called Burlesque, and then this purple shade right here is called PDA. And those ones are amazing. And this one called PDA is actually a dupe to Sugar Pill's Poison Plum. So the next brand that we're going to be talking about is Tarte, and the first palette we're going to be talking about is the Energy Noir palette. You can't get this one anymore, it is discontinued, and I used to be obsessed with this one. I thought it was so cool. It's kind of like a grayish purple kind of palette, and then you get a really awesome blush and then a highlighter in here. I also have the Tarte Pro palette. I've never used this one before, but I feel like with the packaging being this way, it would be amazing for travel. And then here is the inside of it. So it's very neutral, and then you get these tiny pops of color that are more on the neutral side. I also have this Eye and Face palette from Tarte, and I think that this one is discontinued, unfortunately. And I liked this palette when I bought it, but I don't like it anymore. And I bought it because of these three bronzer shades right here, because I really wanted to get into bronzer and I didn't know where to start, and this one was on sale, so I was like, why not pick it up? But the shades in here, like you can see, like they're just way too dark for my skin tone. And then the last palette that I have from Tarte is actually from their Sugar Rush line, and this is the Goals 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 palette. And this one actually really surprised me when I saw the color story of it. It is super, super cute. Like on one side you get your everyday neutrals, and then on the other side there's some kind of like pops of color, and a lot of them have like a pastel vibe to them. So the rest of the palettes I'm going to share with you guys are just one-offs in my collection, and the first one being this Black Party palette from Suva Beauty. I got this one when it launched and I thought it was so cool, but I really hate the formula of it, and also it is discontinued. Honestly, I should be decluttering it, but since I paid so much for it, I just have like a hard time doing so. So I used to be into single shadows more than I am now, but these two right here are from Suva Beauty. This one is from Inglot, and this is also from Inglot, and then this is Celestial from Pop Beauty. So the next palette we're going to be talking about is from Millie Rose. I've never tried the brand before, but this palette is super cute. They sent it my way. I love the packaging of it, but the color story is really basic. It kind of reminds me of the Going Coconuts palette from ColourPop in a way. So the only palette I have from Pinky Rose is the Bright Lights palette, and when I got this one I was so excited for it, but I hate the formula of it so much, and maybe it would be better now that I use my ABH eye primer, but I find that the shadows in here are really dusty and just really hard to work with, and the pressed glitters in here, they just, I don't know, I don't like how they look on the eyes, and just overall I really had high expectations for this palette, and I'm just not as excited about it anymore. Now, I haven't tried much from Winky Lux, but I have this Cashmere Kitten palette, and the packaging is so adorable. And I actually really like the color story of this palette, but again, it is super neutral. And I don't really wear neutrals all that much, but at the same time, I really do want to try out this palette. So let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to see a video using it. So these are some palettes from Kokie. I've never tried them before, and I'm just gonna keep it real. I hate the packaging. I find it really annoying, and it's just, I don't know, it kind of feels cheap in my opinion. But I will say I have actually liked a lot of Kokie products, so I do want to try them out. And what I like about this one right here is that it's neutral, but you get these really cool pops of color right here. I do wish it had a little bit more variety with it, or maybe some more bright colors, but again, I have liked their products, so I do want to try it. And then here's the other one, and to me this one is a little bit more on the cool tone side, and I love this dark bluish kind of color right here. I think that one is really pretty, as well as this purple one. I'm just saying, if you watch this whole video, you are a star, and I love you so much, because I know this video was super long, and I hope you really enjoyed it, because I cannot believe we just went through at least 140 palettes. Like, oh my gosh, like that is so many. Like literally, you should see my room right now. There are so many palettes everywhere. It's gonna be like playing Hot Lava. You know that one game as a kid where you can't touch the floor? Like that is gonna be me trying to avoid my palettes without stepping on them, because I do not want to wreck any of them. But in the comments down below, let me know what you think about this video and if you'd like to see more like it. But as always though, I would really appreciate if you hit the subscribe button down below and gave this video a like. And also, if you'd like to check me out on Instagram, my Instagram account is @lethal_kitten. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!